Welcome back to Dr. Pronghorn's Make-Along Vlog. Today I'm going to show you how I resold this pair of Birkenstocks from my buddy Dino. Took them from just about worn through to the cork back to brand new, or close to brand new. And if you're here for the first time, this is my vlog where I show how I fix things. Lots of shoes, lots of cars, maybe wristwatches and stuff. If you're here from a long time, remember that I got t-shirts and hoodies for sale in my swag store, which you can find right below the video here on YouTube. So anyway, it'll take probably about 10 minutes, but I came up with a new method for removing the old sole and getting the new one shaped that I haven't seen anybody else use on YouTube. So I think it'll be a useful video even for people who've been doing this for a while. And if you think I'm doing it wrong or you have an idea why this won't work, let me know in the comments. Thanks for your time. As you can see, they started out pretty much worn out. Dino got them just in time. They were starting to hit the cork in the front of that right sandal. I'm testing to see whether the suede is still attached to the cork footbed. There's a few places where it's not, so I'll have to glue that back down. And then it's really bad on the heel here. I actually show the process of gluing the heel back down. I don't show the rest of them, but it's pretty much the same. I'm testing to see if I can peel the sole off the cork footbed with just my hands like I did with the clogs. If you haven't watched the clog video, it just came off. That didn't work, so I used the heat gun, and I have it set on sort of a medium setting. This is just a middle-of-the-road heat gun you can get at Harbor Freight. What I'm doing is I'm heating up the sole, and if it gets hot enough, it'll actually cause the contact cement to let go. You can, in fact, have your glued together shoes and sandals come apart on a really hot day. Some people have had that experience. And so here it is working. It also makes the sole softer, so it tears through on the pliers. Eventually I got it hot enough through the whole sole that I was able to just peel the last of it off like that. And see, there's no grinding necessary. The whole footbed is intact. That's the brilliant new thing. I've had some other sandals that the footbed didn't come off, or the sole didn't come off quite so entirely, and I had to cut it with the blade to get it thinner, and then once it was thin I could heat it with the heat gun and get the contact cement to let go. So it depends on the kind of contact cement that's used. I think the original Birkenstock contact cement might be weaker, although these are not official Birkenstocks. These are licensed by a different company. Officially licensed Birkenstock footbeds, but a different company put them together. So it may be that the Birkenstock contact cement is slightly tougher than the one that was used on these, but that's the idea, is just using the heat gun to get everything apart. And then the other added piece is I've got the straps off, and I marked on this new piece of sole where the straps connect, so that I can take that to the grinder and grind down the places that are under the straps before I glue it back to the sandal. I left the front and the back proud so I can sand them up to be exactly the same. And I started to just sand it here, but then I realized it was going to take forever. I could save myself a lot of effort if I just use the knife to cut right down to my marking line. So I'm cutting on the outside of the marking line here with the knife, and then I'm going to use the grinder with the 120 grit paper to grind right up to the line, grind through the line and get rid of it, so it'll be right where I need it to be on the sandal. And this way the sandpaper actually leaves it with a really nice smooth surface that you don't get with the knife necessarily. Now I've got to glue the straps back on. I like to use the New York Times Magazine as a base for gluing, contact cementing, because it doesn't stick. And I got to get everything lined up right. So the way contact cement works, if you're not familiar with it, is you have to let it completely dry to the touch before you stick it together, and then it will only stick to itself. So everything you painted with contact cement will stick to itself, but once you've stuck it, you pretty much can't get it undone without using like the heat gun or solvent. So you've got to be kind of careful not to mess it up. And then once you've got the contact cement stuck down, if you want it to be really secure, you have to press it either with the hydraulic press or with a hammer. So you got to get a lot of force onto it, and that causes that bond to become more or less permanent. You can also use it like regular glue, where instead of letting the two sides dry, you just apply it and then put everything in place, which is what I did to stick the suede back down to the footbed. I just applied contact cement to the places when it come up and pushed it in place, wiped off the excess, and just left it. And it takes a lot longer to dry when you do that because it isn't exposed to the air. I just have to leave it for several hours, as opposed to about 20 minutes for the contact cement to dry when you leave it out. But you can use it that way like a glue if you're in a position where you can't let it dry in two separate pieces. Now I'm just gluing the sole onto the footbed. And then I have those index marks I made before. They're still to help line everything up. So I can get those sides where I've already trimmed them down. Saves me a lot of effort and headache. And then hammer it in place. I like to put a t-shirt underneath it to protect the ridges on the cork footbed so that while I'm hammering, I'm not going to tear up the ridges. Yep, once it's all glued down, it's not going anywhere unless, of course, you heat it up again. And of course, I did all of these operations on both of the sandals, but I'm mostly showing the right-hand sandal just to save on time here because it's the same for both sides. Once I got it glued in, I used my box cutter again to trim it down close, and then I went back to the grinder and used the grinder to get everything flush. Yeah, so here I'm flushing it up. I'm also taking a little bit of the surface of the cork off so that when I put the latex cork sealant on, it's a nice fresh surface for the cork sealant to go onto. And see, because I already got those sides trimmed up before, there's not a lot of the hair-raising kind of grinding of the sides underneath the straps to make everything fit, because it was already done while I had the straps off of the footbed and I measured everything, got it right. So in the end, I think it saves a lot of time because you don't have to do that precision grinding on the sides. And here I am putting a little chamfer on the edge of the sole. I think it looks more finished this way than if you have the real sharp edge. It also helps to take off some of the little stringies that hang on the sides sometimes. There it is, done, ready for the latex. So you can go back and watch my first Birkenstock video to see the details on the latex, but basically this is just a paint you can put on to replace that original sealant. It helps to keep the cork intact, keep moisture out of the cork. Moisture is really the enemy of your cork footbeds on your Birkenstocks. You should not wear Birkenstocks into wet areas. Don't wear them walking through wet grass and stuff, or if you do, dry them off immediately afterwards. Let them air dry. We'll wipe them down and then let them air dry, but you don't want to let them stay wet, okay? And if this latex wears off, you can actually buy this stuff and replace it yourself. You don't have to grind everything off either. You can just lay it over top of whatever's there and reseal it. But it'll help to make them last longer. If you ever had Birkenstocks where they just start to crumble and fall apart, the cork's falling apart, that's because of moisture getting in there and causing the stuff to swell. And anyway, you can prevent that. So I'm giving the suede straps and the suede footbeds liner a little bath with my suede shampoo, cleaning it with a toothbrush. This is actually a toothbrush that was never used on a human mouth, so don't worry about that. This was a fresh toothbrush that's only used on shoes. See, they're Betula brand, which is a different brand, but they officially licensed Birkenstock. So the soles are actually Birkenstock, or the footbeds are Birkenstock footbeds. And there you have it. It's all done. Putting it back together for Dino. I think I got the right strap locations for him. Sorry, Dino, if I messed up your settings. I think they look really good. Came out nice. Should last quite a while longer. And we can do it again too if you wear it down to this point again. I charge $50 to do this service on a pair of Birkenstocks. I still have a ton of that footbed material, the sole material left. So if you're interested, contact me through my Etsy site or on Instagram. Give me a DM, and I can get your Birkenstocks resold for you. There are other places that do it online too, so don't feel like you have to use mine, but it's about $50 wherever you go. I just feel like they're too nice sandals to let them get used up and thrown out. So don't throw away Birkenstocks. Get them resold, reuse them, make them last longer. If you enjoyed watching this, or you have some ideas about how I could do it different, or things you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, give me a like. If you want to see more content like this, give me a subscribe. It helps me to grow the channel and all that good stuff. Thanks for your time watching, and be safe. Okay? Bye.